Hello, in this video I'll be doing a bit more clearing and organising a few things. August is a hot month, so not a lot was going to get done as it's too hot to do any digging or heavy work. It's difficult to tackle nettles, thistles and brambles in a short sleeved shirt, so any weeding and ground clearance was postponed until the cooler weather returns in autumn. This is the cucumber that I overwintered last year, and because it takes up so much space I thought, well, I'll bring it to the allotment, so I brought the whole pot. Now you can see it. I've put some of that netting, it goes up and it gets tied up there, so it'll climb up there, and it's starting to flower. A bit late, but we'll see. And that's some chives next to it. I moved the barrels for making liquid fertiliser out of the old polytunnel building and moved them to the border in front of the shed, near the rainwater catchment barrel. This is where the huge pile of glass and rubbish used to be. It was no good for growing, so I decided to use it to store these barrels. Some levelling of the stones was necessary to make sure they were level, as these barrels would get heavy when they are filled. As they had a bit of material in them, I had to remove some of the content, move the barrel and then put it back once the barrel was level. It was a nasty smelly job which I don't want to do again. The privet hedge needed cutting to leave a bit of room behind the barrels and to prevent the branches getting in the way when I want to put something in the barrels. It will grow back, but I've cut the tips off, and a couple of cuttings each year will be enough to keep it out of the way. Let's have a look at the beds that I've cleared and planted. The bean bed is okay. There are a few weeds coming through. Same with the kale and Swiss chard bed. Again, some weeds have come through, but the mulch has kept most of them at bay. Now, the bed next to the roses, I planted a lemon balm and a globe artichoke, which is not too happy. Hopefully it will take off. And around the edge of the bed I've planted some thistles, and this is the bed that had more thistles and the pumpkins in. They're growing okay, but once they're a bit bigger I can mulch them. Well, this used to be a dark, dank corner where all the rubbish was dumped, and there's still quite a bit of rubbish there, but I've cleared all the nettles and brambles, etc., and I've taken some bits of rubbish out, so I've cleared this a little bit, and eventually this bath is going to be a wildlife pond, but for the moment I'm just going to chop and drop all these nettles and stuff and just let that rot down over winter and deal with it next spring. There's so much glass and plastic and all sorts down here. There's the roots from the elder that's down here, so it's not really good for digging and planting stuff, and it's too dark, so all I'm going to do is just put a wildlife pond in here and let that get on with it. There's a dandelion coming through the wood chips and the fabric, and over here comfrey's coming through, even though there's about 10 centimeters of wood chips, and it's managed to find the gap, or where the two sheets of fabric overlap, and it's managed to push its way up through it. On the skip day somebody was about to throw some felt away, and I felt that was a waste, so I asked if I could have it, and he was glad for somebody to put it to use. It's doing a good job. Obviously it's not water permeable, so when it rains it does collect a bit of water, but it should kill off all the grass and weeds that's down here, down this path. And I've got as far as this, and there's 2 comfrey plants in the path, so I have to decide whether to keep them, which means cutting the felt and leaving a gap for them, or taking them out and putting the felt on top and not having anything in the path, which probably makes more sense, because I don't want to cut this up and leave gaps where weeds and other things can get through. So I think these comfrey plants will have to go. Well, we've got the paths and I put fabric down. It seems to be quite good, but right on the edges and on the beds where I have put very little wood chips, obviously not enough, and I've disturbed everything by sort of digging up all the old grass and weeds and stuff and taking them out. I've allowed new weed seeds to flourish, so they need a bit of weeding, but that's like 2 months worth of growth. And obviously, as I keep pulling these out, so long as I don't let them go to seed and keep mulching with wood chips, it should reduce this quite down considerably. And if you consider what this is like compared to that side, which is what it was like before, it is a marked improvement. So this is a lot easier to handle than sort of not using wood chips. I would definitely recommend using wood chips. It doesn't take long to sort of take out the weeds once the wood chips are down. It's only a few minutes to do these beds, so that's not bad. Well, one more harvest of broad beans. That's enough for tonight's dinner. And there are still a few flowers on the plants, so I might get a few more beans, but really they are getting a bit chewed up and finishing off. The tomatoes are doing better now. Once I took them out of the direct full sunlight and gave them a bit of evening shade on this side of the shed, they're a lot happier, and now they're producing. The pumpkins are producing flowers. They've gone in late, so I don't think I'm going to get very big pumpkins out of these, but even if I get a small pumpkin, it'll be something. For a first year crop, I'll be happy with whatever I get. These 2 comfrey plants, I've decided to take them out. It's going to be a lot of digging to get everything out, including the roots and things, but it's got to be done. The leaves can be composted, so I'll just take out the leaves and put them in the compost pile. That comfrey is going to be the best compost activator there is. I'm going to try and get as much of the roots as possible. So that's that's not all of it, but you can see they've had the weed fabric down here, and all these roots are coming off. and it's comfrey's grown right through it. So that weed fabric's obviously no good. You can see the roots go way down, quite substantial, so I need to dig those out. I'm not too worried about the other stuff, so I can deal with those later. But I can roll this round to the end, and all the roots and stuff will go into this comfrey tea, which I'll use next year. I've put the felt down, and what I'll do is I'll put a bit of wood chips on the edge, and that'll soften it a bit, because that side has been weeded. The other side hasn't been fully weeded, so I'll deal with that later. Right, well, I'll add some more wood chips later. This is the second time I'm going through and clearing this hedge, because there were some bits that I left because I didn't know what was bramble. Like this is a raspberry, but that's a bramble, and there were little bits that I didn't know whether they were raspberries or brambles, so I left them. And of course all the weeds and stuff like comfrey and things that came through from when I cleared this stuff in March, early April. So this is the second go. I'm just sort of putting stuff down, putting wood chip down once I've cleared, and then putting some stuff on top of it, like pots and stones and stuff, just to sort of keep the weed down and stop it coming back next year. And then the year after I can start putting some stuff in here, because there's things like this. And this is a comfrey root, or part of a comfrey root, which I pulled out of here. And you can see if there is any of that left, that will come up and start new comfrey. So it's likely that next year I'll get some more comfrey coming up, but then I can dig that up. But it means that I can't really put anything permanent here for another year, just so I can dig up any comfrey and nettles that come up. I can dig them up by the roots. And there's a few little things coming up. Again, it could be a runner from this raspberry, or it could be a bramble. At this stage I can't tell the difference. Maybe an expert gardener will, but I can't tell the difference between a young raspberry and a young bramble. But compared this to this, there's quite a difference. But I've got 30 meters of this to go through, and I've done maybe 5 meters. So maybe it won't well. Maybe I've done 10 meters. So I've still got another 2/3 of it to go. And this comfrey root is going into this tub. That is all going to be comfrey tea. So the roots and stuff will all rot down and make a good. I mean, this is full of nutrients, so it's a shame to just throw this stuff into the bin and then have to go out and bring in more fertiliser. So I'll just reuse what I've got. These tomatoes are going gangbusters, and they're just lots and lots of tomatoes, and I can't keep up with them between what I've got here and what I've got at home. I just can't pick them fast enough. I've started clearing this top area and removing all the weeds, well, as much as I can, and I've gone and cleared up to about a metre across down the side of the old polytunnel. So got to keep going and doing it little by little. There is just a bit more left to do. Behind that is the raspberry and blackberry patch, which you can't see for the weeds, but that's been cleared, so it's not as bad as it looks, not as big as it looks. Well, that's a few more jobs out of the way. The next video will be a little bit different, so goodbye for now and come back soon.